Hello, welcome to our webinar today on preparing for the future, the business case for AP automation. Today we're going to include what you should include in a business case for AP automation, quantified and qualitative benefits of AP automation, and how to present the preferred solution to your stakeholders. We were working with a partner recently and had to help them present a business case to their stakeholders. It highlighted the importance of a functional framework to concisely present an AP automation project. As a team, Documentation have always assisted with the business case presentations and worked really closely with our customers or partners, we'd like to talk about them, to help them find the right tone and level of information for each business case. But obviously each one is unique to the organisation and those stakeholders involved. In this webinar, we want to discuss the elements to include, focus on some of those benefits, quantified and qualitative, and how best to present them to the final document. I'm here today with Mark. For those of you who don't know him, he's worked with Documentation for over 25 years in varying roles and has worked with many customers to help present a case for automation, whether just to budget holders or the wider business. So let's kick off today with what you should include. Mark, what are your thoughts on this?
Thanks, Julia. Hello everyone. So preparation of a business case is critical. It needs to have a strong executive summary, making decisions is easy as possible to the stakeholders and so on. It needs to be clear and concise, and obviously relevant to your business and what you're looking to achieve. What include what problems you're looking to address, how you're going to address those problems, listing out the key benefits and the financial returns associated with implementing AP automation and the like. And then also acknowledgement of the risks associated with that and how they're going to be addressed. So the implementation, for example, business changes and things like that. So things that come along with implementing automation, and obviously the likes of Documentation can help mitigate those risks as part of a strong project plan and implementation process. And at the end of that exec summary, giving confident recommendations, and the justification. So why invest? Giving that information. Present what you're looking to achieve and how you're looking to achieve it is really important. Be that strategic, financial related, looking at efficiencies, cash flow, reducing of payment cycles, things that even down to environmental impact and so on. So looking at all of those and including them as part of a strong exec summary, but keeping it concise and clear is absolutely key as a kick-off to a strong business case.
Okay, brilliant, thanks. I also did some research around what a comprehensive business case should include and what it looks like. And I came across a Forrester template called the Total Economic Impact Framework. And it covers 6 pillars of reference. Obviously, the executive summary is Mark described as first, but after that, you've got your objectives and goals, solution, quantified and qualitative benefit, financial analysis, risks and sensitivities, and then your conclusion at the end and your recommendations. This framework can be as expansive or as light as you want it to be, and obviously that's relevant to your organisation and your business and who you're presented to. But as Mark was talking about earlier, the executive summary is really the most important part of the whole document. It's often the only part that some of the stakeholders will read. They'll want to understand exactly what it is that we're talking about, why we should have this automation, and what the actual benefits are going to be, all in a very concise manner. So after you've done that and you've nailed that part of it, the next part is the objectives and goals. These again are subjective to your business. They should be really easy to identify because they're the drivers for your initial search. It's why you started looking for automation in the first place, and made up the criteria for the selection of your solution provider. So this should be quite easy for you to do, and obviously that's an AP team effort, really, all of you working together to identify those, and often in a list order, what's the most important and what's the just nice to have in a descending order. Following that are the details of your solution that you're proposing, again unique to your business and your goals. When you're engaging with a solution provider, they should provide you with a proposal that clearly lists out the functions that will solve the challenges you've identified when you've begun your discussions with them. And this is the best place to start to fine-tune this section of the business case. So that's your objectives and goals and your solution, what solution you've chosen. Next are the sort of the benefits. Mark, can you help me with this bit?
Yeah, no problem at all. So a business case shouldn't always focus on one main objective. So, for example, your main objective is reducing costs. Okay, that's fine. But think about the other threads, of which there might be many, an array of objectives. So think outside the box when you're considering automation, for number one, but also how you're going to present it in a business case. So, for example, it might be that in AP automation, your objectives and so on are to reduce manual intervention, improve efficiency, reducing costs, achieving early settlement discounts and things of that nature. Yeah, at a very high level. But what else might you want to consider as part of a wider picture? So, for example, I've had customers whereby the creation of an AP automation solution has also facilitated the creation of a procurement department and better procurement practices through the extension of AP solution going into P2P. So that's controlling eliminated rogue spend up front and improving business relationships and better procurement terms and so on and so forth. So AP might be your main focus, but think outside where that might lead, either as part of AP implementation, but in the future as well, where it might lead. So that might be one of your objectives as well, is to implement AP with an objective to move to purchase to pay, and things of that nature. So one size doesn't fit all when it comes to business cases. I think it's clear to and important to say that your business better than anybody, and so you also understand the stakeholders and what they might want to achieve and what they're looking to do. So thinking about those quantified and qualitative benefits. Quantified benefits are measurable. They tend to be data-driven advantages, so relatively easy to measure, probably now and moving forward through reporting analytics. So things like cost savings, so reduction in invoice processing time, for example, and those efficiency gains allow again through reduction in manual intervention. So looking at what manual activity is going on now, that would be replaced or eliminated through the implementation of automation. So getting those cost savings down through those efficiency gains. And again, looking at error reduction and compliance, so tracking the number of duplicate invoices you receive, for example, and again how they would be dealt with automatically through an automation process. Again, links to manual intervention and process efficiency. So looking at what percentage of invoices need corrections and need to be touched and thought about, and how we can automate those. Looking at the cash flow and financial impact as well is important. So compare the percentage of early payment discounts you're achieving now compared to where you want to be through automation. So if you've got a streamlined process and your process life cycles are shorter, you can start looking at early payment discounts and so on, something you might not be able to do with a manual process. So looking at those, and the scalability and growth. So if you're like all businesses, they're looking to grow, of course, but with growth typically comes with an increase in volumes, which then may relate to an increase in the number of heads. So looking at that trajectory of growth and what that might mean if you don't automate in terms of head count, and consider, okay, if what would be the impact of AP automation by reducing that head count by directing it to do more value-added tasks, for example, and processing more with less, if you like, or certainly without adding any head count to that. So it's really important to think about that and where you want to go. So qualitative benefits, easy for me to say, is not so easy to measure. Okay, they're in terms of monetary terms, but they are significant. So productivity of your employees, and what's really important is that the satisfaction of employees. So maybe doing an employee satisfaction survey to get their feedback initially in terms of their current business process and their workload and what their activities are, and they can give some real input as to what they want to see in terms of processes moving forward. Reduction in the time spent manual invoicing, manual processing. You know, those activities can be quite mundane. So it's about potentially reallocating those staff away from those mundane tasks that can be automated into real value added tasks. So analysis and supplier management and things of that nature. You know, so real benefits to the business that should be considered. And along with that, with the, you know, supplier management is obviously the supplier relationship. So looking at the number of queries you're currently getting through a manual process from your suppliers, because they're chasing invoices, chasing payments, and so on and so forth. And through automation, that can be eliminated through self-service, supplier portals, and things of that nature. And with the shorter process cycles, you're paying to terms. You're if not better. So you're improving those supplier relationships, and obviously with that comes a stronger and more resilient supply chain, which is really important in today's world, is to look after that supply chain at all costs. And it's gaining visibility as well through reporting and analytics of your processes. So, you know, looking at real-time reporting and the advantages of that automation is going to give, and looking at bottlenecks, how can we address those bottlenecks that you may be unaware of with a manual process? You know, there's a manual workaround here and so on and so forth. So addressing that automatically will eliminate those. And again, reduce time for audits, reduce time for audit preparation internally by the AP team and finance teams, but also the amount of time auditors are on site can be reduced if they can be presented with the information they need quickly and easily. And also goes with your reconciliations, or speeds up your reconciliation processes. So they're the main areas of the benefits, if you like. There are so many more, and which I'm sure, you know, we can provide assistance with identifying. But as I said at the top, you guys know your business, you know what your processes are, and you know what you want to achieve. And those, what I've just said, are just a few of many, and we could be here for hours listing them. So, I hope that helps.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Next up on the total economic impact framework from Forrester is the financial analysis. This really depends on who you're presenting to and what the key things are for them. If it's your CFO, is it the return on investment and the payback period? If it's more of your finance team, it's you know, how much time they're going to get back to do more value-added tasks. It's that kind of thing. So the framework recommends using ROI, an obvious one, a payback period. So how long will it take before you've actually repaid your initial investment for your implementation and your 3-year or 5-year or whatever your managed service agreement is plan? How long will it take within that period to actually start being in profit rather than paying out? And then for further validation, you've got your net present value. These can be quite complex calculations, and we're not going to go into them in detail today, but we have produced a guide with all the formulas and all the details that you need. If you want more information on this, we'll be able to give you the details of this at the end of this session. Next up on the TEI framework, risks and sensitivity. This is, again, really unique to your business. It should be noted as part of the business case. You should identify those potential risks, list out the mitigation strategies. What will happen if these risks actually do happen, and then do a worst case and best case scenario, and then a scenario that's kind of somewhere in the middle, which is what you'll use going forward as part of your financial analysis. Again, this is quite a complex and quite unique area, so it's not really something we can talk about in general terms, but we will be giving you details of this again in our guide. And the final section, is the conclusion and the next steps, which is actually the most important part, because at the end of the day, that's why you're presenting this business case in the first place. You're trying to move this whole project on to actually get sign off and get it implemented. So, Mark, can you offer some advice on this?
Yeah. So, in terms of in my experience of business case and so on, and implementing solutions over many years, the quickest decisions and the strongest stakeholder support comes from a really strong and well-considered business case. It's something that you can present to your business case. It sells itself. The solution will sell itself with little explanation. if you've got a really strong, so go back to the exec summary and so on, but also obviously the conclusion feeds into that executive summary. So it's aligning the business case with the overall company strategy. What the company goals are, what its growth plans are, what its commitments are, its ethos, its morals, and going into what its brand and all sorts of things is aligning your business case with that. And that will straight away get buy-in from the stakeholders, because that's what you're all heading in the same direction. Yeah, you're not trying to deviate away from anything. We're all heading in the same direction. Write a conclusion that is it provides clear and concise summary of all of the points we mentioned above. The benefits and the cost savings and the calculations and so on and so forth. Reiterating the goals and objectives, going back to them, and and what the key benefits are, and going back to those risks, what the potential risks are, and that they've been considered and addressed at this point. Okay, because a good business case can be referred back to in several years' time to make sure that you're achieving what your business case set out to achieve once that implementation is in process. So it's not a business case done, sign off, done, move on and forget about the business case. It's something where you can move that forward to continue to measure the solution going forward. So it's really important to get that. Include your proposed solution, as Julia said. A business case might be, the initial business case might be, we want to automate, and these are what automation can give us. The next thing might be, once you've made your supplier selection and you're presenting the whole solution that supplier can provide. Okay, so it can be a smaller business case up front to get buy-in, if you like, and then an overall business case, or it could just be one. It depends where you are on your cycle, where you are with your decision making. So put that proposed solution in there, and the costs and ROI payback in terms of terms, which you'll know at that point, because as Julia says, a provider like Documentation will give you a full proposal, cost, solution outline, and so on and so forth. So this, and and a good proposal will give you a lot of this information as well to pour into your business case. So as Julie said, we can assist in all of that. Provide firm recommendations on how to proceed, and then highlight the positives, financials and operational impact that you're looking to gain from the implementation, and again, any additional information that influenced your choice of supplier. So why Documentation, for example, and again, we can do that, and we can help you with that. So following that conclusion, and again, it's a strong section that needs to be well considered. Think about the next steps. Okay, so you should have a plan at the outcome of this. So identifying all the stakeholders that are needed to secure the final approval. So when you're presenting the business case, you'll go into the right audience, and the entire audience, if you like. Confirming that there's budget allocated, of course, which is really important, and establishing a really detailed project plan with the chosen provider. So you're starting to put reality into the process, and a direction forward. Appoint an internal project team, and define those key milestones as well, so we understand the roles and responsibilities within your teams in terms of implementing the automation, and initiate a plan to communicate the project progress and milestones back. Okay, so this is the project plan, and this is how we're going to report back on progress of the project, but also once live, the progress of the solution moving forward. As I say, once you've gone live, that is not the end of the story. That's the B of the bang, and that's when all great things start to happen, and the things you want to achieve and the benefits you want to gain start coming to fruition at that point. So report back to the stakeholders, and tell them all about it.
Yeah, Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Mark. Just to sort of pick up on a bit that you said earlier, I was watching an event, a rerun of an event last night, actually, just ahead of this, and it was talking about presenting business cases, but actually for marketing software, nothing to do with AP automation, which is obviously what I'm personally interested in. But what was really interesting was one of the people on the boards that on the panel said it's really important to, when you're setting out your objectives, don't just look at the objectives of what your department or your team's trying to achieve. Go back, take the step back, which is what Mark spoke about earlier, and find out what the business objectives are for the whole business. So for the case of AP automation or even P2P automation, one of those objectives should be really clear, easy purchasing for the whole of the wider business, that everyone can, there's a system for everybody and everything can get easily approved and easily pushed through the system for suppliers to be happy, people placing the orders to be happy, a very set out matrix of approvals, etc. All of that could be an overall business objective that you've not really thought about. Obviously, of course, it's part of the AP automation proposal and you want it to be like that. But if you can relate it back to something that the board are looking at as part of the company's objectives, then they're going to be much more on board and understand much more why it's really important for this small part of your process to be automated. So it's a really good idea to try and take a step back, look at that, and then go from that point onwards to get the business case out there, because you'll get buy-in much quicker from the stakeholders and they'll see the relevancy of this whole project. Really, really important. So really, to wrap up, we covered the 3 elements today of preparing a business case for AP automation: what to include, qualitative, and you're right, it's hard to say, and quantified benefit for AP automation, and then how you should present it to your stakeholders. And obviously, each instance is completely unique. Some stakeholders will prefer a full presentation, others might like a lengthy document with reports substantiating statistics. Whichever way you decide to do it, whichever way you decide to build your business case, get your preferred solution provider involved. At Documation, we've written a guide, which is what this webinar today sort of referred to, and we've also built a template to help you kickstart your preparation. But lots of solution providers do this. Don't just leave it there. We'll help you fine tune it for your audience, and we'll even be part of that presentation team. If required, if you want us to talk about the benefits and how that aligns with your goals, for instance, we can step in and be your guest speaker, for want of a better word, if that's something that you'd find helpful. If you'd like any more information about any of this, let us know by email, listeningteam@documation.co.uk, or just drop a line in the chat here and we'll contact you. Hopefully you've got what you needed from today's session and found it helpful. I've enjoyed doing the research for it because it's quite a gritty subject, and I think there's lots that can be done with it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Our next event will be at the end of April, and watch LinkedIn for details. And thanks everybody for joining, and thank you, Mark, for your input.
No, thank you, and thank you for everybody to come along.
Thanks.
Take care, everybody.